Hello, good evening, everyone. We are welcoming you here on Stella's chat room again. As usual, we have a lot of points in store for you. We are ready for your questions, and kindly please throw your questions. We will answer your questions. Thank you so much. I have a gentleman here for you, a humble soul. I call him PJ. He's a military officer, he's a counselor, he's an intelligent man. I would like him to introduce himself. Today we are discussing trauma. The effects trauma have in our life, in our society. Does trauma affect our children? A whole lot about trauma. So I would like him to introduce himself, then we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you. I go by James Akwansi. That's my name. I'm a military officer, like she said. And then I'm an upcoming counselor.
Okay, sure. You're already a counselor. Okay.
I'm still learning though.
All right, hear you. All right. Are you done introducing yourself? All right, today we want you to take us through trauma. Can you give us one or two meaning of trauma? Let's talk about, we have a lot of trauma out there, but we want to talk about emotional trauma. Okay? So can you take us through, what can you give our viewers a little 2 lines about what trauma is all about?
Okay. Trauma is a deeply distressing, and then trauma is a disturbing experience. It's like a death of a child.
Okay.
The pain you feel when your only child is dead, is dead. Trauma is very painful, and you feel helpless when you go through it.
So, okay, that means trauma. You're helpless to understand that trauma is heartbreaking, and of course, we notice a lot of our youth are really going through a whole lot. Not necessarily our youth, people are really going through a lot these days, not because of their relationship, even financial aspects, right? So, what do you think? In what way will trauma have effect, or does it have effect does trauma have effect in our children today?
Yes, they do. You made mention of emotional trauma. Emotional trauma is something that makes you feel unsafe and helpless. When a child feels unsafe, coming to your question, when a child feels unsafe, he or she begins to fear. He or she begins to draw back. He or she feels afraid coming to people. When a lot of people, a group of people are gathered here, he is alone somewhere at his corner, doesn't feel like talking, doesn't feel like eating. So trauma affects even children more than the adults.
Okay.
Because he or she has no one to talk to, no one to confide in. So it's a big problem when a child has a trauma. It can diminish his or her life. It can totally drain him or her down to the nonsense point or degree.
Can trauma affect the children education?
It does.
What about in the midst of their colleagues?
Same. Especially when the kids come and they are playing, and then for him or her, he cannot play, he cannot mingle, because even at home, when he or she tries playing, they shout at her, "Go and sit down." Even with the neighbors, the parent does not allow her to play, does not allow him to play. But I think when you don't want your children or your ward to play with your neighbor's children, there is a way to go by it. You call him or her, "Come, what are you doing here? Go and learn. Tomorrow you have school. Didn't they give you homework?" Or you can even call him, "Come and let me send you." Sometimes in the midst of other children, a parent will call the child the word and be beating him or her. Didn't I tell you not to come here? If you're telling me to come and play here, no, that is not how. The child, when he or she goes through this severally, he or she becomes an introvert, becomes quiet, not to mingle, not to go to friends, because he or she doesn't know what next if the parent sees him or her. And then it happens more to children who are staying with other people, i.e., stepmothers, stepfathers, aunties, and then most of the times friends. For instance, a child's parent is dead, the mother is dead to be precise, the man has no time for the ward, and then has to send the child or the ward to another friend's house to be taken care of. You cannot get that treatment 100% that you give your child. You can't get it. So most of the times when they go there, depending on the home or the house she is going, anything can happen. But then you should always pray, or we should always pray that everybody stays or be with the parents, the biological parents.
Okay. Are you still making a point? Yeah, listen.
No, I think yeah.
Okay, you are done in the aspect of the children.
Yes.
Here, Mr. PJ is helping us to understand that children face more trauma than the elderly ones.
Sure.
In a way that some children come across stepmother, stepdad. Some children, their mother, their parents, biological parents are hard on them. Some parents, and due to that, they can't mingle between their fellow schoolmates or their peers. Because due to that, they are not comfortable. They can't express themselves.
They can't concentrate in school.
They can't even concentrate in their education. So Mr. J is helping us to understand that trauma really has a big effect on the children. But Mr. J, I want to know, can you give me 1 or 2 points, the main thing that might cause trauma in the life of those young ones? Before we go to the elderly ones, can you give me like 2? What causes that kind of depression, like that kind of trauma to affect their education, and that wouldn't enable them to mingle with their peers?
Okay. 1, losing a loved one is one. A loved one can be a parent, whether both parents, and then sometimes, let's say twins, and then they are pain and kakra, and then the kakra is gone, or probably the pain is gone. The trauma the other which is left behind will go through is nothing good to talk of, unless parents and people around are strong enough to help him or her overcome it. So losing a loved one, being a parent is one, and then losing another loved one, which is a sibling, is another thing. Witnessing an accident
can have a serious trauma for a child.
Accident can be fire outbreak, it can be a car accident, it can be maybe in class beating a word so the word collapses. It puts fear in the rest of the children, and some of the children cannot take that, so they go through that trauma.
Okay, Papa, you're making a good point. I'm so much happy. I'm sure you guys are enjoying our discussion. God bless you so much. Call us, ask your question, we will answer. Thank you so much for following us as viewers wherever you are. Thank you so much. But Mr. J, can I ask you this? Based on the trauma, on the effect it have on children, which is terrible one for that matter, you've listed a list. What about in your home where there's a maybe probably a violent home, a toxic home, abusive home? How about that one? Does it have any effects on children?
It has. It really has a lot of effect on children.
I want you to nail that for us.
Abusive homes. You made mention of another one. Toxic homes.
Yeah.
Parents exchanging words.
Yeah.
Shouting at each other. Man beating the wife. It can also cause a lot of trauma. It can bring the children to a point where they have to go wayward.